Planet Dolan.
From sneezing in a library to not following school dress code, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the weirdest reasons we ever got arrested. I'm Hellbent, and today I'll be your narrator. Number 10 was submitted by CraZGames. Doopy was riding in a car with her mom when all of a sudden they began to hear someone laying on their horn. It lasted for about 3 blocks, with Doopy even saying,
"Someone has an itchy horn hand."
Then they came up to a red light when a lady who had been the one honking at them pulled up beside them. She rolled down her window and started screaming at them for cutting her off, yelling how she was gonna beat their asses and how they were lucky her kid was in her car. Doopy's mom calmly said, "Fuck off. My kid's in the car too. Mind your own damn business." 2 swears was a record for Doopy's mom. Then the lady screamed at them some more when a cop came by and pulled her over. At first, Doopy and her mom were happy, but then the cop pulled them over too. He slapped her mom with a $400 ticket for cussing. Number 9 was submitted by RagsUnderAmysBed. Salty Squid was out looking for toads, frogs, and newts in his hometown. He went to his usual hot spots when he came across a fallen fence.
Yeah, who am I kidding? It's not connected to anything, it just fell over.
He told himself as he moved it out of the way. Later that night, a guy pulled him over and scolded him for moving the fallen fence, asking, "What were you doing moving the fence?" Salty Squid answered,
Well, it had fallen over. Can I go now?
The man said, "If you move, I'm gonna call the cops." Salty Squid thought,
Oh, fuck that.
and drove away. The man actually did call the police, who pulled him over and arrested him. Even though the fence had already fallen over, it was connected to a field. He had to spend the rest of the year in jail. Number 8 was submitted by ElectroUmbra. Civil Spider went to a school that was extremely strict. It was so strict that if a student didn't have any demerits by the end of the school year, it was a celebrated achievement. But Civil Spider was a good student who followed every single rule to the letter. One day, back when he was in 6th grade, he brought a plastic knife with his lunch. Apparently, to the teachers and the security guards, the plastic knife was really a razor-sharp switchblade that he brought to inflict harm on others. So, Civil Spider was shoved to the ground, handcuffed, and expelled that same day. He got probation and was under house arrest for a full year, all because he wanted to cut his lunch. Number 7 was submitted by GhirahimisNixxiom. One time, when Dolan was walking down the sidewalk, he started to whistle a song. Just then, a police officer drove up to him and screamed, "Why did you kill Spike?" Dolan had no idea what he was talking about, so he replied, "Who?" The police officer said, "Spike the dinosaur, damn it!" Before he knew it, Dolan was in handcuffs and was being carried off to the police station. When they entered the station, the police officer sobbed hysterically. One of his friends, a policewoman, asked him what was wrong. The police officer grabbed the chain on Dolan's handcuff and violently pulled it, shaking him around. He said, "He killed Spike!" The policewoman took the handcuffs off Dolan and said, "I'm so sorry for the inconvenience." Dolan found out later that the police officer had been drunk. Number 6 was submitted by King Kashoku. One day, Nixxiom was sitting on his porch when 2 guys ran past his house. Both boys wore blue jeans and bright-colored shirts, while Nixxiom wore all black. A couple of seconds later, 2 cops ran past his house, but one stopped and ran towards him. He dragged Nixxiom off the porch and put him against his car and began to pat him down. Every time he tried to say something, the cop told him to shut up. The cop found nothing, but still called for backup multiple times. There ended up being a total of 6 police cars in front of Nixxiom's house, but they were all confused except for the cop who grabbed him. They talked to Nixxiom for over an hour, asking if he was with the 2 boys who ran past his house earlier. He answered,
"No, I'm not even wearing any shoes."
Even though the cops thought he should be let go, the cop who grabbed NixxiOm thought he knew him from somewhere and looked suspicious, so he brought him down to the station. On the way, NixxiOm asked the cop why. The cop said it was because he was wearing all black. Number 5 was submitted by Torakaya. Gergak and his friend Mikhailum were eating lunch at school one day when a kid walked up to them and yelled, "Give me that motherfucking apple!" He punched Mikhailum in the crotch, and Gergak stood up and asked, "What the hell was that for, Beavis?" The kid looked at him with a deer in headlights expression and screamed, "I'm gonna call the cops on your ass for calling me Beavis!" So the kid took out his phone and dialed 911. When the operator answered, the kid said, "I'm at school and I almost got murdered by a 6th grader. All I did was take a random kid's apple." When the cops arrived, they handcuffed Gergak and brought him home. Number 4 was submitted by Dia10653. When Zaragamba lived in Florida, his school's dress code required black shoes. His parents didn't have the money for black shoes, so they just painted a pair of Zaragamba shoes black. Later at school, the paint on the shoes was dripping, revealing the actual color. Zaragamba and his parents didn't know that if the dress code wasn't followed, the student would serve some time in jail. So the principal called the cops when he saw the dripping shoes. When the cops came, they handcuffed Zaragamba and put him in jail for 48 hours. He hasn't been back to Florida since. Number 3 was submitted by Olivia James 88. The weirdest reason Melissa ever got arrested was when she was in the 11th grade. One night, she walked to a gas station to get some snacks. She saw a policeman behind the counter getting some cigarettes. Melissa grabbed some chips and walked to the counter, saying,
"Good evening."
The policeman's face turned red, like a tomato. He asked, "Are you making fun of me?" In shock from the policeman's question, Melissa said she wasn't and apologized. Seeing the shocked look on her face, the policeman said, "It's not okay to disrespect a policeman." After that, he drove Melissa to the police station where she stayed for 3 hours. Number 2 was submitted by BarklePony32. When she was 17, Pandora was at the library returning some books and checking out some new ones. She had a terrible cold, so when she sat down to read, she coughed. The librarian, who is a cantankerous old windbag, gave her a dramatic shh. Pandora looked at her funny, then continued to read. She kept having to sneeze and cough about every 5 seconds. At one point, the librarian said, "If you make any more noise, I'm calling the police!" That was when Pandora got up and went to her desk. She quietly explained,
"Listen, I have a very bad cold. If you can't accept that, then why do you have this job?"
The librarian ended up kicking her out. Later that night, the police came by Pandora's place and took her to jail for a day because she didn't listen to the authorities. What's the weirdest reason I ever got arrested? One day, I was at the mall with a bunch of my friends. My buddy's fiance wanted to try on some clothes, but I was the only person there and she didn't want to go to the dressing room alone because she was a bit afraid and didn't want to get separated from the group, so I followed her over there. After about 5 minutes of waiting, mall security comes up and says, "Sir, you need to leave the premises immediately." And I ask, "Why do I gotta go?" The guy tells me, "We've had complaints from customers that you're blocking the ladies' dressing room and making them feel uncomfortable. You need to leave now." Which I guess is understandable the way that I look. So I asked the guy if he could go in the women's dressing room and grab my friend, or at least tell her that I'm gonna be over in the men's area. He, of course, says no, and I tell him I'm not leaving without my friend. After that exchange, he went to go get a real cop to arrest me. After a couple of hours, my friends finally found me in the police car, explained the situation to the cop, and the cop actually looked kind of pissed off, as if he gets a lot of bullshit complaints from that mall security guard a lot. There are a dozen things that are stupid about that story, and you can pick just one and it'd be too dumb for them to actually handcuff somebody and put him in the back of a car, but that's security for you. Thinking about it, I should have just told the guy I was her husband or something. I'm gonna get better at lying to security. Huge thanks for the folks over in our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's a crime you managed to get away with? Don't worry, I won't tell the cops. Just let us know on the Reddit page linked below and you might be featured in a future countdown.
This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys!
Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.